Hello, this is Mike with Christian Meds. This week I'm going to give a short testimony, kind of like what you would give in Celebrate Recovery, just a short version. Let's get started. So when it comes down to who I am and how I got to where I'm at, basically I grew up the grandson of a pastor, a American Baptist pastor. My grandfather was a pastor in around Indiana. His name was Dr. Walter Hand, and he had a PhD in theology. And then basically my dad was an engineer, and he ended up going into the Navy, and my parents were near Hayton-Ashbury in 1960. So basically what ended up happening was my mom ended up going to college around there and came home with a theology that all religions led to the same God. And basically I was raised under that, and although I felt like I was a Christian growing up, we celebrated Christmas. It wasn't until I turned to around 40 that I really had a shift happen in my life where God was no longer, or Jesus was no longer a good teacher, just like Gandhi. He actually became my Lord and Savior, which is a big shift there. And part of, what this channel is all about is kind of trying to clearly define that the God that I worship, the God that allows healings to happen through me, is the God of the Bible, the God we define as a triune God, Father, Son, and Spirit, all co-persons, created from one essence. In other words, I'm very clear whenever I am asking for power to run through me that it comes from that source. I'm very particular in the way that I channel energies and allow people to be healed through me, is that I want to make sure that the power that I'm using comes from there and not anything demonic. Basically, I ended up, back in 2007, I ended up marrying a woman that basically had borderline personality disorder and was speaking to her mom through dreams at night. So anybody who's watched the movie War Room, I basically did everything in that movie trying to change my spouse through prayer and pleading with God. And instead of things getting better for me, things got worse. The more I gave my life over to Christ, the more my manipulative, controlling wife felt like she was losing control over me. Felt like the whole world was turning me against her. And it became more and more dangerous for me to stay in the marriage. So after 2 years of me trying to improve the situation through prayer and meditation, I had basically the Lord say to me, "You've proven yourself worthy, it's time for you to go." By that point I absolutely feared for my life, and I was ready to. And I had seen just crazy things, like pictures taken down off the wall, my image of that picture, and that image being torn out, and then the rest of the picture being placed back up on the wall. Just all kinds of crazy things. attacks from my wife, and just a lot of just crazy things. False profiles being created on social media to attack me, all kinds of stuff that most people have never dealt with in their life. I've walked it, I've dealt with it, and through Celebrate Recovery, I was able to have some true Christians walk with me and allow me just to get the things put in place to protect myself when I ended up basically just one Friday night, just basically throwing a few things in a bag, walking out and never coming back. Do I still pray for my ex-wife? Yes, I do. Do I still pray for the stepkids that were around me at that time? Yes, I do. I pray for all their salvations. I pray for them to know the Lord like I know the Lord. The first time I gave my testimony was the night that I actually met my current wife. She's a beautiful lady who plays piano and sings, and basically she came up to me after I gave my testimony, and just her smile just, it was like a lightning bolt through my heart. And within 6-7 months after that testimony, we ended up being married, and we've been happily married now for over 5 years. Now, my current wife, there's still been some rocky roads when it comes to that. She's currently dealing with a lot of pain. And part of the reason why I've started Christian Meds is because I studied every book I could find on healing through the Word, because I wanted to be able to heal like Paul healed. I wanted to be able to heal my wife, and maybe that's a selfish reason for wanting to learn all this, but that was the motivation that God gave me. Now that I understand how healing works through the Word and through the touch that a person can do, I want to teach that to other people. So these are kind of what this channel is all about, and this is a little background of my testimony of how I ended up where I'm at. When it comes to how well do I know the Bible, I started out very much, once I got saved back in 2007, my escape from that horrific situation was to study. And I studied biblical texts for 2 hours a day, every day for those 2 years. I prayed and pleaded with God to change the situation, and I've read the Bible countless times. There's certain books like Romans, I bet you I've read Romans 1,000 times by now. So, do I know the Bible? Yeah. Do I understand it's one meta-narrative all about Jesus? Yeah, I do. Are my beliefs mainly Orthodox? Yeah. Do I believe in original sin? Yeah. And do I believe that we're grafted into the bloodline all the way back to Adam? Yes, I do. So these are just a few of my thoughts, just to kind of give some grounding of kind of where I'm at and, my belief system. And basically I'm down to a very simple gospel. I know that there's always a tightrope between legalism and license, and that we always need to kind of walk this tightrope where, we don't sin all the more so grace may abound, because we're damned if we do. But we try to basically allow grace to flow as much as possible, but still being true to God. And what we use as a measuring stick for this concept is by far the greatest commandment. Love your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. From these scriptures basically lies all the rules laid out by the prophets of old. And you can basically break the whole Ten Commandments down based upon that one statement. You know, you're not going to sleep with your neighbor's wife because that would be violating that statement. You know, you're not going to lie, cheat, or steal because that would be violating that statement. So I preach a very simple gospel on this channel, and I want us to basically figure out and unite under what unites us more than what divides us as Christians. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to clarify what is a Christian and isn't a Christian, what fits within my circle and what doesn't. And I'll do that in other videos, but this is basically just a general testimony just of how amazing God is and how He walked with me through a horrific time in my life and now has brought me a blessing of a beautiful, amazing wife who loves and supports me. And I couldn't have asked for a better wife at this point. And I let God choose my wife. I didn't choose it. So I feel very blessed to have Jesus as my Lord. And just wanted to conclude it there. Be blessed. Have a wonderful week. And I'll talk to you soon.